Okay, recording locally.
Woo!
Tiffany.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's Exo Man
Oh,
Award.
nice. Yeah, actual Man
Look
Award.
at him.
Look at how grumpy
Another
he
thing
is.
you can purchase from the Valiant store.
He's awesome. He's got a little sword. Look at it.
For the record, I'm just gonna put this out there before we start this whole thing. As we've discovered today, the weekly poll is very easily bought off if they want us to promote products.
That's true. You want to send us something? Hey, right now, we're drinking out of Ninjak's head, but hey, we could easily drink out of Batman's head.
Look at this.
Wow.
I am fired.
Sal, it's been nice, but the weekly poll needs to separate itself from you at this point.
All right, guys, welcome. What was that octave I hit?
Well,
Yeah, what was
You want to
that,
take that
man?
again?
I'm trying to get Twitter to load, man. Twitter won't load.
We're using all the internet.
I guess, yeah, we are using all.
Welcome to the weekly poll, guys. Today I've and my intro is all thrown off because I'm used to looking at the panel.
Are you
Look at that.
I don't know where to look.
The weekly poll, guys. Currently, I am Benny, one of your hosts, the Comicstorian. This is Sal from Sal Says What on Twitter and Comic Pop. This is Rob, my good buddy Rob.
I like how you said currently I am Benny, as if that's going to change.
It will, yeah. Well,
You
after his
never
rebirth,
know.
he'll
This is Rob, who was Marvel Explained and now is Comics Explained, which could end up happening to me.
Yep.
From the channel Comics Explained, and fluidic beats are some crazy things.
That is it, yeah.
And
Oh
then
my God.
and
I
then
miss
we
you,
have
Benny.
Tiffany.
The real Zoobs.
Just
me.
Tiffany.
Yeah.
Well, we have no
me.
Joel, so you need to be the new brunt of our jokes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bring it.
You can take it. You can take it better than Joel.
I can.
She's on the comic. What is wrong with you?
She's also...
Benny.
She is on the Comic Pop team, guys. That was the most haphazard, horrible intro I've
that was
ever.
weak.
Should I just do it again? Should I
No,
just
that
do
was
it?
actually an amazing intro.
It was pretty great.
That was
It was
awesome.
good, but if you want to take it again, go for it. If you're feeling it.
Welcome to the weekly poll. I am Benny the Comicstorian, joined by Sal from Comic Pop, Tiffany from Comic Pop, and Ron from Comics Explained. We're going to use both in the post show. We're going to use both.
I love it.
Okay.
Love it.
Today, guys, you can tell we're all sitting together. Here, you got to bring Tiffany in. It's like a group.
bring it in.
Yeah. We're all sitting together, guys, because we are currently sitting in New York City at the Valiant comic book offices talking about the Valiant Summit. Today, they announced a total of seven new comics that is coming after 2016, and we are going to talk about those comics right now, right here, fill you guys in on what's going on with Valiant. Now, before we get started, I do want to clarify for those of you guys who don't know what Valiant is a company who publishes characters that came out originally in the 90s, and then they've recently returned with a rebirth per se. If you're familiar with them, they are characters that are Exo Man of War, Ninjak, Bloodshot, Harbinger Foundation, things like that is the Valiant universe. I've done quite a bit of them on my channel. I know these two guys have done some stuff on their channels, but if you're looking for something, different take on superheroes, a little more like permanent effects when things happen, and not DC, not Marvel, you go check out Valiant.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Like, what do we like about... Like, I like Valiant because it feels more like if you took, like, the concept of a superhero, like, traditional superhero, and then you took them out of, like, a world that's fictional where things just get made up, and you put them in a real world where they reference real-world events.
Yeah.
And then just kind of... see what happens. That's one of the things I really like about.
Yeah, the party line is the world outside your window. And
Yeah.
so it's basically the world that you live in plus superheroes and superpowers. I mean, it's kind of like what some of the big two have tried to do in the past, and this one I think because of kind of the trial and error that Marvel and DC have had over the last 75 years worth of comics, Valiant has had an opportunity to actually like look and analyze and then implement what works, what doesn't work, and then make something that's actually a pure product as a result.
Yeah.
I really dig the fact that literally, no matter what your interest is, you can find something in Valiant that you'll like. Because they cover so many genres, and they make it all work in one shared
And yet
universe.
they don't put out like 52 books.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
That's amazing.
I guess one of their initiatives is to never cross more than 10 per year coming out.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that right there tells you that they're really focused on solid storylines. Real quick, I just want to state that if you are interested and you're watching this on Comic Pop or Comic TV afterwards,
And you see all these neat products.
or if you're listening to the thing, we're holding a lot of interesting products here. You can go buy stuff like Valiant Pillows, Valiant Body Pillows, awesome mugs over at the Valiant store.
You can buy posters. You can buy all kinds of.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things. Like, if you're looking for Valiant products, that's the place to go.
Valiant themselves.
It's a
So
Valiant.
Valiant.
So like it's like to me it's really cool because there's a lot of history there and stuff like that. But okay, so getting into you guys want to get into the actual.
I mean, we can talk about Valiant stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
overall, Valiant is interesting because, and someone asked this question earlier when we were at the summit because I was monitoring the chat in there, and they said, "Oh, is Valiant the kind of company that doesn't have any super long running lines?" And they do, but they don't because they do like to tell short, like, here's a great 10-issue story and it's done, and then we'll come back when we have a good one.
Yeah.
But they do have a couple heroes that keep going. Like EXO is about to hit its 50th issue.
50th issue, which is kind of amazing that. Normally, when you hit 50 issues, number one, you put a holographic cover on it. Number two, of course. Number two, it's usually time for a relaunch. In this case, no, they're celebrating a milestone because Exo Manowar was the first book that Valiant published after they kind of like repolished and retooled.
It was the first book they published when they were old Valiant.
That's true.
Yeah.
But they launched, I think, in 2012 with Exo Manowar, and now they're celebrating their 50th issue. And it's been a solid book that hasn't been coming out like every month. Because they took breaks. Like it's almost like seasons. There's moments of Exo Manowar, and then they took breaks, and then put out something else for that people might.
You guys talk about that for a minute.
That was one of the cool. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say what's interesting about saying that like they have like some short runs where they're just telling a good story and then the long runs. It's very like for me that's very like manga. Anime, like
inspired.
Like you know what I mean? Where like you can have an anime where you have like maybe 10 episodes because they have a story to tell.
And then that's it, and you never see it again.
And you're like, there's the story because they just wanted to tell this story.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
I agree.
Yeah. One of the cool things that I did like about it is that it really isn't like a massive number of issues for a character story arc. Like for example, Harbinger. For those of you guys who are curious, Harbinger is the team, the Harbinger Foundation. In the Valiant universe, there are people who, when they take the idea of telepathy, telepaths, telekinesis, things like that, they just group it all together as psiots, and they're like these people have psycho powers. They
can use their mind to manipulate
for
reality.
Things. They can fly. They can
shoot energy.
Yeah, there was the guy Toyo Harada who would literally do everything. Because of his abilities, he was godlike in power. But
I think he's getting something.
They
in the future.
Yeah, but they group them all together under the concept of psiots, and there was originally a storyline, or I guess eventually a storyline called the Harbinger Wars, which was based on the idea of not everybody believed in Toyo Harada's vision of the idea that people couldn't govern their own lives, so he wanted to control the lives of everybody to bring order to the planet, and it was just this war between the Harbinger Foundation, the various members, but on the surface you would think, man, Harbinger Wars, that sounds like a big, massive, convoluted crossover.
Right.
Not really. It was pretty simple to follow.
Well, how many issues was it? Like
within Harbinger, it was 4.
Yeah, 4 issues.
It was 4, and then you had Bloodshot that tied into it. You had a couple things.
Yeah, they did have time. Like, see, they do. It's not too far out of the wheelhouse of comics. Like, if you're familiar with the way comics are run and published, there's an event. There are tie-ins.
Exclamation point Valiant. See if it works.
Yeah.
You guys keep talking.
There's an event. There's tie-ins. There's superpowered characters and world-sized stakes, but it seems like it's handled with a sense of maturity and experience that that I have not yet seen a publisher before.
Yeah.
So anyway, we just got back from the Valiant Summit, which took place at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater in the East Village, which was really fun. They announced 7 new titles that they're coming out with for 2016, and pretty much like each month has its own title that you can celebrate and like will blow your mind. Yeah. If one title doesn't sound like I don't know about that one, there's guarantee you there will be one for you this month or this year.
Yes.
Coming
out. Totally.
So you want to do a rundown of what's going on?
Let's go ahead and start it off. I'll since I backed out for a minute, I'll kick off the first one.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of this book.
Okay.
So this is the list right here. You can find it online.
Yes.
And you can also tweet Valiant Comics and just let them know which ones you guys think is awesome.
Yeah.
And use the hashtag Valiant Summit. Tell them what I thought that was great.
Yes.
And this is it. So the first one, if you've been following, I know it gets a lot of hate. It gets dubbed a lot of things, but personally, I loved the first 4-issue miniseries. But Faith is getting a new on-running series.
It
was a 4-issue mini?
It was a 4-issue mini, no intention of going further. It did amazing. It was like on 7th printings and insane numbers. Yep. So they're just going to continue that story onward. She's going to get an ongoing... I believe it's ongoing with no...
It is ongoing.
With no definitive end at the moment.
Right,
so.
And I thought it was really cool that they're giving her own, arch nemesis.
Yeah. So basically,
cool.
she's going to get her own actual super villain.
Yeah.
And the whole story with her is basically she's one of those psionics. She has the ability to fly, and she's a
increased
plus size superhero. That's the big thing for her. But the thing is like, yes, she's plus size, but they don't care. They don't comment it.
No,
she's not like, I can go work out.
No, but the story's just really good.
Yeah.
They actually kind of poke fun at it. Like, when she first appeared, she appeared in Harbinger, and she had been talking about how she was getting dressed up to go on a date, and she got there, and there were a couple of girls at the table making fun of her. Well, then Peter from the Harbinger Foundation shows up, and the girls are like, "Oh my God, he's gorgeous," and he was like, "Faith."
Yeah.
And then the chicks are like, "What?" You know, and then that's the end of that.
Yeah.
You know, but the really cool thing about Faith, and this is what we got to talk to some of the creators. You know, and of course you'll see content on our channels coming forward. Coming from that. But I got to interview Jodie Hauser, and I got to interview Rafe Roberts. Rafer Roberts?
Yeah, Rafer Roberts.
Yeah, Rafer Roberts, who does, or he's going to be taking over Harbinger, and he does Archer and Armstrong.
Yeah.
But the idea behind, talking to Jodie Hauser was, with a character like Faith, what was the overall goal? And the goal was to strike a chord in a way that hadn't been seen before. To take a stereotype in comics, an overweight superhero, and turn it into something serious as opposed to something nonsensical.
Yeah.
And that goal is a goal that I think she's clearly achieved with the character of Faith, because you're talking about being able to bring in a dynamic of people who previously thought themselves isolated.
Yeah.
Or
at least they didn't see an Avatar character for themselves in the comic book industry.
No, the only one you had was the Blob, and that's not someone you want to be.
Here's
my representation.
You went you went really, really deep into the internet or into the computer or video games, into comics, and you were like, Big Bertha from the Great Lakes event.
Oh God,
exactly.
It's like
it hasn't been seen in forever. No. And for the record, when I heard first Big Bertha, I mixed her up with Big Barda, and I'm like, Barda's
Big
not
Barda.
big.
Yeah, she's just tall.
Big Barda's a great.
You too? Okay, thank you.
Cool character though.
There's gonna be so many high fives
because
we're
right.
in one
It's high
location.
five and everywhere. We don't really get to do this.
We love the high five.
Yeah, we
love the high five.
We literally can't hold anything.
Double, and
screen grab.
Snap.
But yeah.
And I gotta tell you, with Valiant's, whole it's the world through your window thing. Faith herself is a sci-fi fan. She's she's a fan of things. So talk about taking the real world and combining it into this fantasy world. That's awesome.
The other thing is for me, Faith is one of the few traditional superheroes in the Valiant pantheon. She's the only one who was she for me is almost like the Superman of the Valiant universe.
Yeah.
Because she's the one who's I need to embody an ideal, and I need to wear this brightly colored costume and go out there and be a beacon of hope for the people that live here. And it's because she knows about superheroes, and that's kind of informed her persona. So I think that's kind of fun that she's the one. She's the Superman of this.
Well, and what I love about that is the fact that she is now she was just a teen character who got a simple miniseries that would be fun. Who's now getting her own ongoing series and she's the reason she's like that is because she is a fan fiction writer. She loves superheroes.
Yes.
So she knows what a superhero should be. Not emo, not fighting with each other, not having a Riddler mind when you're actually Luthor. Wait, wrong story.
Yeah. But Faith is getting an ongoing, and that's kind of the big announcement.
Yeah.
And it's going to be drawn by... crap, who's doing it? Perez.
They have it on here.
Pereira Perez and Marguerite Sauvage.
Oh my God! I mean, Pereira Perez's art is great.
It's fantastic.
But Marguerite Sauvage's art is my favorite part of it.
Yeah. Well, Pereira Perez is the new artist on the book, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do.
Well, going to your thing about how he was supposed to be, one of my favorite moments from her character was during
the Harbinger War.
This is good.
During Joshua Dysart's run of Harbinger, when he when it was the moment where Peter and them were just using their powers to just kind of seek revenge and just do things willy-nilly, and they had no real purpose. And she was like, there are people in the world that need our help. Why are we goofing off with our powers? We need to do something legit. And I that I think is what it needed.
Yeah.
Because at that point Peter was still trying to figure out his way in the world. He's like, yes, I'm incredible. I can do all kinds of cool stuff. But
what does that mean?
What does that mean? What am I supposed to be? How am I supposed to function? And the great thing about Dysart's run is Peter never figured that out.
Yeah.
But the really,
like real people.
Yeah, like real people. And that is a cool thing, because you're talking about a scenario like a character who is a genuinely good person.
Yeah.
And she's written that way. So sure, she stumbles, she makes mistakes, and she does things she shouldn't do. But at the end of the day, moments like that, I think, establish her as being a solid character that can reflect, what people think heroes should be.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that I think is a solid.
So you guys want to move on to the next one? Does anyone have more stuff to talk about Faith?
No, we can go
Okay, so speaking of Harbinger Foundation, the next title that has been announced is coming out in July, I believe. August. Okay,
Generation
so-
And
It is Generation Zero, written by Fred Van Lente,
yep.
and drawn by Francis Portela.
Yes.
Francis Portela.
Brand new series, brand new book, but old familiar characters, and
They're from the Harbinger, which was what you were just talking
exactly.
about. They were the kids that couldn't be saved and they caused problems, but now they want to be superheroes.
And they're basically the way I can pitch this is it's like the A-Team.
yeah.
That's exactly what I was kind of thinking it was. You know, like, we can solve problems. We're kind of people that screwed up on our own right.
Yeah.
We can,
It's like a blend of Kick-Ass and A-Team, where it's
Yeah.
Kick-Ass goes on MySpace of all
Yes.
places, and he's
Yeah.
like, you can like message me and I'll solve your problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can find them, call the
Call
Operation
Generation
Zero.
Zero.
Call Generation
Right.
Zero.
That's exactly
Only
what
like
it is.
they're kids and they have powers, and so they're probably not going to solve these problems as
Pretty
clean
sure
as the A-Team
Yeah.
might.
The standout for me
Oh God!
was
Yes.
the super fetus.
Yes, Super Fetus. Hashtag
I must
Super
have
Fetus.
missed that because I was
Did
totally.
you really?
I was
Yeah.
trying to follow the chat and the,
Okay.
the Twitch thing during
Yeah.
that.
So the team is comprised mostly of kids, and they may have superpowers, but they need to operate in the real world, and as such, when they need to, like, let's say, beer it up or go into an area that requires adult supervision or adult help, they won't have access to that without
Yep.
an adult present.
That's right.
And they've figured out their way around that.
Yeah,
How do they
there's
do that?
Well, I believe one of them is actually a fetus.
Yes.
And-
Yeah.
And it lives inside of an adult who that adult is then puppeted.
By this Super Fetus.
How did I miss this
I don't know how
at
you
the
missed that.
summit?
So-
I was like, what?
So the Super Fetus kind of uses the person's body like a mech suit.
Yep.
And the adult will then do the adult
Yeah,
things
like
for
buy
them.
beer or gain access to something.
Or rent a car.
I don't think the fetus cares about beer.
No, it's
No,
No,
not
the
like
fetus says like
You
it's
say
like a
that,
size.
man.
it's just it's
It's
the size of a
size,
fetus.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes a little more sense. I'm picturing a legit fetus, like, I got pregnant and now I can't control my body.
No.
No, it's not quite that.
It's,
But,
it's an undeveloped baby
That's what I
controlling a
thought,
human.
Yeah.
controlling an
Huh?
adult.
As you thought too, right? Okay, thank you, yeah.
No.
Well, wrong. But anyway, Generation Zero. I don't even like. It sounds fun. There's going to be some new characters, and they're going to be. I think they're.
Yes,
they're,
Rob?
Oh, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, like,
You gotta
they're-
Faust it up on us?
It's going to be. I think it sounds a little bit like
I'm like,
an extended episode of the A-Team, where it's they get called in to solve a problem, and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that
See,
sounds
we'll
interesting.
see how they solve it,
yeah.
or
that's-
if they solve it.
That's a cool concept.
Yeah.
Well, the
And moving on.
The
Yeah.
oh my god, man. The idea itself.
Tripping over all this Valiant merchandise.
Valiant
I,
merchandise.
we have
only
so
people-
much merchandise
The
here.
only people would buy it and get it out of here.
Sal,
Where can they go?
have you ever been sitting against a chair and felt like your back was not being cushioned properly?
I feel that all the
Yeah.
time.
Well, you know what? I have this amazing bloodshot pillow over here that you can purchase at ValiantEntertainment.com at their store. Here, how does that feel, Sal?
Much better. Thank you,
Exactly.
Eddie. And thank you, Valiant, for this amazing pillow.
Oh man. But no, like Generation Zero sounds like oh my god, shameless promotion.
Yes.
I just gotta say,
Literally, I come from the
shameless
Kevin Smith school of plugging, where it's every time you're looking for
Oh,
you're looking
man.
for comics. No. What you should be looking for is apparel. Valiant apparel. Go to valiant.com.
They have t-shirts. Should I go grab the t-shirts? We can all put them on randomly.
You should grab me one because I need one of those. Anyway,
for the low price of whatever it is they're selling for.
yeah, we don't know the
That's-
prices. That's too bad.
But no, like okay, so Generation Zero feels like for the kids that are going through like the rebellious streak.
Right.
Like, society can't tell me what to do, and I'm gonna carve my own way in the world. That sounds like what that title is doing for.
Yeah.
Tiffany's
I like
struggling
that.
with the chat over there, trying to get it to type right.
Oh, that's awesome.
But that's what it sounds like. It's for the young kids that are looking for someone they can identify with as the rebels that just
Absolutely.
won't listen to anybody. That's
Yeah, in a
that's
legitimate
cool.
way. Like
Yeah.
it's written for people who it doesn't feel like it's going to be written like it's like I remember when they made comics that they thought they were making for teens.
Yeah.
Where like Gen 13.
Yeah.
Oh,
or
yeah, yeah.
Generation X.
Generation X.
Where it's like, it's just garbage. It's not. It's 45-year-old men talking.
I mean,
about,
Generation X was popular because of the slang, but that was
Well, it was
it.
popular because I don't even know why it's popular.
Jubilee.
Moving on. Now, okay, superheroes. We've been talking about them for a while. Superpowered people. This new book, totally separate.
I'm really excited.
It's within the same universe, but it's totally separate in as much as
It's the world's first detective.
Yes.
To steal his thunder.
Yeah.
No. I was setting you up. I'm setting up where it's
Oh,
like,
okay.
If you're like, geez, a lot of superheroes in this. Moving
Boy,
on.
this cube is really heavy. Just gonna.
You could buy it. Get it out of here. But no, it's Britannia. What is Britannia, and what can we talk about here?
It's
I think
about the
bigger
world's
question we need
first
to ask-
detective.
Did
See,
you-
we can talk over each other even in person.
I think the bigger question we need to ask is, what is this, Benny?
It's an Exo Man Award.
This is, have you ever wanted to cuddle with Auric of the Exo Man of War? Well, you too can own a fist-sized Auric, or you could easily own a fist-sized Bloodshot, or a fist-sized Faith. All of these available right now at the ValiantEntertainment.com store.
We don't have to sell these things.
We really don't. We're just doing it.
And in all honesty, we get nothing for this.
No, we're just doing it.
They're not even going to give us these.
Yeah,
They're going to be
at
like,
this point,
those are rentals.
Yeah, everything we're just.
Those are prototypes. You keep
It's
that
just fun.
Okay,
to, like,
And
pitch.
while you're at it, if you'd like some Bloodshot and Exo Man of War mini-mates, those are also of it. They put us in the licensing office, so
Yeah.
all the toys are around
I
us.
was
Yeah.
like, I was like,
Literally can't
I was
help
like, do we
ourselves.
know if those are actually in the
I gotta
store
tell
right
you-
now?
Or you can get yourself a, I don't even know what this is.
That's sweet. I actually have that.
That case looks cool, though.
Yeah.
We do have it. It's
Those are New York.
awesome.
Those are New York Comic Con exclusive.
Then you can't
figurines.
buy this one.
Yeah,
You might be able to
sorry.
see one at New York Comic Con.
Britannia,
That is cool.
Yeah.
the way they described it as being Game of Thrones meets 300 meets American Horror Story.
Yep.
And then you add in this whole psychology element. I was
Yeah.
like, yes.
Yeah.
It sounds
yes,
pretty wild.
And yes.
It's
So-
basically it takes this idea of there being mysteries that
Yeah.
did exist back in the days of whatever.
I'm not gonna lie. They're like, it's Rome, and then they said Vestal Virgins. I'm like, okay, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
And how like the Vestal Virgins are gonna teach, I guess Britannia, about like psychology. So he starts to understand why people do things.
Exactly.
But then they're adding this cool horror element too, where I'm like, yeah. all right.
And it's like Supernatural's wrapped into there
Yeah.
also, and he's a detective at the same time, so it's like a psychological thing.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It sounds like a psychological thriller, kind
Yeah.
of wrapped into the idea that anybody can die at any time.
Yeah.
And that's,
It's one of their new superheroes they're making, new
Yeah.
books. They're
Yeah.
like
New books.
brand
Absolutely
new.
new.
It's not. I guess he kind of counts like a superhero.
No, in the same way that like Sherlock Holmes is a superhero.
I mean, either way,
He's a superhero.
Sherlock Holmes.
Have you not seen the latest movies? He has the powers to slow time and
That's
look at
true.
everything.
That's true.
Hold on.
Sherlock
Oh,
Holmes.
he does. That, yeah, he does.
Yeah, and then he has some
Yeah.
sweet music too.
The music is fantastic.
Oh, dude, I love that music. Like, dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun,
it's a
dun,
spectacular
dun, dun, dun. I
soundtrack.
love that soundtrack.
Welcome to Sherlock Cast.
Yeah, you know
Brought to you
what's
by-
cool?
brought to you by Valiant.
At the Valiant offices, where you can buy sweet Valiant mugs.
What's cool is each of these titles are pretty much coming out like each month. We're gonna get something new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like you're not gonna get all this at once.
No.
Like you could.
And it's not. And it's not like they're not like sitting here. I'm gonna take a stab at one of my favorite companies,
Sorry.
but they're not like yeah. In June you're gonna get Batman, and then in July you're gonna get Detective Comics, and then in August you're gonna get a Batman and his
Yeah.
friends.
You're not getting like Faith and Faith 2 and Faith 5.
Yeah.
Like
No, you're getting Faith, Generation Zero, and Britannia, 3 completely separate storylines.
in 3 different months.
Two-
So it also
three-
saves
yeah,
you some money.
Three
You don't-
storylines that are written completely differently.
Yeah,
too.
and
Like,
drawn
that's-
differently.
That I think is a great. We'll find out as we go through this list more and more. But the
Yes.
great thing about these stories is that they're so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And they're not
so
trying to
different,
beat
yeah.
each other
different
or copy
from
it.
each
Yeah.
other and different from what's being published today.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, like Bloodshot USA.
Oh,
Coming out in
great
October.
segue.
Dude,
Nice.
But you know what? If you want Bloodshot, you can get yourself a Bloodshot mini at the Valiant Entertainment store.
Bloodshot Mug too.
I like the comments they're giving us. Like, you guys are like the ShamWow people.
Yeah, we are. Welcome to Slap Shop.
Yeah.
You're going to be making great food all
Slap
day.
Shop.
Hang on, to wrap up Britannia, if you're looking forward to it, September. That's
Yes,
your
it comes
time.
out
Yeah,
September.
yeah.
September.
And we'll probably talk about it when it comes out
Yes.
on the normal podcast. So don't worry, we'll be reminding you about all of these.
Oh yeah.
But
then-
maybe we should like start recording like fake ads at the beginning where we
Oh
promote
my
the latest
God.
books.
Right.
Hey Sal, do you remember that story about the occult supernatural detective?
Oh, you're talking about Britannia?
I'm talking about Britannia.
Well, of course I know. Yeah.
But no, see, Bloodshot USA, I think is a really cool story because it answers. Well, it asks and it answers the question: what would happen if like the country were full of Bloodshots?
Yes.
You know,
Well, not even.
and-
It's not the country.
Well, it's New York. I guess.
It's New York City.
New York City
is
were full of
infected
Bloodshots,
with
Nanites.
Nanites.
Yes.
Which
And
is-
so New
And
York
everybody
City
becomes
just goes.
Bloodshots.
Yeah, everyone becomes.
They all become low-level versions of Bloodshot,
Yeah.
Like, and they were describing it like a
Yeah.
zombie world of mercenaries attacking Bloodshot.
Yes,
And
and,
that
Bloodshot,
sounds
and not
awesome.
just Bloodshot, by the way. Bloodshot does appear and does try to tackle this, but he knows he can't do it alone.
He brings. I didn't hear them today. He's bringing his friends in.
He's bringing in
Is
a
he?
couple of people.
Is he
He's
bringing in
in
Unity?
He's bringing in the World War II Bloodshot.
Oh, so he's bringing in the other Bloodshots.
The other Bloodshots. No one from the other unit.
I was gonna say, like, if he's bringing in Unity, that's gonna be an amazing story.
That'd
I
be
mean,
cool.
the other Bloodshots is still cool.
Well, because Bloodhound will be in it.
Now, speaking of Unity, if you're interested in purchasing Unity-based products, of course you can find those at the Valiant store.
Yeah, no, and speaking of Unity, Unity is made up of Bloodshot, Exo-Man of War, Livewire, Faith pops in there once in a blue moon, whatever. Yep. And if you really like those characters, you can always purchase
oh my God.
2 of the primary members of Unity right here as mini-mates, or you can easily get yourself a Bloodshot pillow or an Exo-Man of War pillow and celebrate your love, and celebrate your Unity love.
That's right. And I gotta tell you though, with the Bloodshot book, what I thought was cool was they have this crazy hook of the nanites infecting New York.
Yes.
But at the heart of it, it's about Bloodshot kind of recovering and like dealing with PTSD.
Yeah.
And, like, you know what I mean? I was like, that's cool. So you have this human aspect of it, this like whole, overcoming something.
Yeah, but you also have the cool big...
And then you have the cool big part of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I Am Legend.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's about this poor guy, but it's also about, like, these cool zombies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That are all killers.
Yeah.
The zombies are pretty cool.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for that, that's coming out in October.
That's right.
And once again, we will give you reminders before it comes out, so don't worry. The next thing on the list, though, does anyone have anything else to add to Bloodshot?
No.
I'm trying to move through at a quicker pace because we do want to bring everyone in to get there.
Let's go.
Okay.
Move.
So, if you are curious on Faith and her original team, Harbinger, they are coming back in November by Rafer Roberts and Derek Robinson. And if you do like Faith, don't forget, there is a Faith little stuffy you can get at the Valiant store. Located
You
at
just
Valiant.
advertised that like a minute and a half ago.
By the way, Derek Robertson, if you remember that name, he drew The Boys, and he drew Transmit.
I'll take Kisses
Yeah.
from Faith.
Yes,
Faith.
and just can't believe
Yeah.
how amazing that is that they brought him in, and it's gonna be rough, and it's gonna be hardcore. You're gonna see people who basically there's a whole psionic plot going on.
Yeah.
You gotta
take
take
pictures.
so they can see you.
But
What?
yeah,
Oh yeah. The faith thing.
Yeah.
I had her giving kisses to him.
But is she still giving kisses to me? Oh, she fell out. Hold on a second.
This is what is slowing the cast up? What?
There we go.
yeah, these ads.
Yeah.
So,
Which, by the way, if you guys are interested,
There's
Bloodshot mugs.
There's a Bloodshot mug. Located at
they don't make
ValiantEntertainment.com.
those.
and this
No, they have similar ones.
All
Right.
right.
this faith stuffed thing, which is kissing me right now, can kiss you too if you go to the Valiant store and buy one.
So, what do you guys think about Harbinger Renegades?
So Harbinger Renegades, of course, Rafer Roberts is writing it, and I'm actually okay. So in the interview when I was talking about it, I'm really excited because he's like, yes, like Joshua Dysart did a really good.
Yes.
I can never remember how to pronounce his name. Did a really good time on his.
Don't worry,
run.
Rafer Roberts asked,
But-
am I saying it right? Remember?
Yeah. He's like, well, he was like, the great thing here is that with Harbinger Renegades, Rafer Roberts is not trying to recreate or redo or reboot anything that, we're not really reboot, but trying to copy Joshua Dysart. Instead, he's taking what he did with Archer and Armstrong, and he's bringing that great element to Harbinger.
Yeah.
And that I think is really necessary because Joshua Dysart's run was amazing, but it was also very dark in terms of conflict. I think it's time for more of a buddy feel to the team.
Yeah, I think so.
He's gonna
And they're
bring that to
going
it.
to infuse that into there.
Yeah, he's going to do a really good
Very
job.
different feel, but like still the same group you remember. And I like that they spaced it out because like you think of Harbinger, you think of Faith, and and Faith of course getting her own.
And of course, Generation Zero being a lot it's tied into the Harbinger thing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but you still have time. Like they're releasing it 4 months like after Faith, and so you're getting this space out where you'll enjoy Faith ongoing, and you're also going to have.
Well, see, that's what I'm looking forward to as well because, like with
I know how to
Valiant,
keep that
the
on
really
because
cool
it's
thing,
dying faster and faster.
Yeah.
the really cool thing about Valiant is that their stories are.
Pointing and holding it.
Oh, the really cool thing about
There,
Valiant is
fix
that with their lineup being what it is, it's very easy to maintain continuity.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so there'll be a lot of instances where you'll probably see events take place in Harbinger, and Faith won't be there. And the reason why is because she's off doing something in her own solo.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things I really enjoy about
she won't be
that.
appearing in every
The-
other story either,
Exactly.
so it can still matter. All the story,
Yeah.
all the appearances that these characters make in their own universe will have impact and weight. But because they're not being oversaturated, you're not you're not creating conflicts for other writers where they're like, I want to use Faith, and it's like, well, you can't. She's on the moon.
Yeah.
Like.
For those of you guys who are asking about the artist, it's Derek Robinson.
Derek.
Derek
What's
Robinson.
wrong with you?
Then they misspelled it.
Oh.
Don't tell them. You're selling their damn pillows. This next
Yeah, but
title-
they're not paying me to sell a pair of
The last two titles are the ones that I'm most jazzed for.
But I mean, you know what? I think we can kind of talk one lumped together though, because there is very little on each one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The only So go ahead. Do
Okay,
Savage.
so November is Savage and December is Divinity 3. So we'll do
Yes.
Savage first.
Yeah.
I think you were the most excited. You were tweeting about this one.
I
So
was.
why don't you take point on
All
this
right,
one?
Yeah.
so Savage is a brand new book. We're going to be introducing a new character. It's just a deserted island. Take a well-to-do family, make them crash on that island, take everything away from them, and then 15 years later, there's this boy.
He's 15.
But island has dinosaurs on it.
It's infested with dinosaurs.
You got this kid, and the image for it, I love the image for this, with him with the 2 raptor claws, with the big T-Rex teeth necklace. I think that's awesome.
If you're a
yeah,
comic
you're
book
talking about
fan,
the cover.
that is the
Yeah.
Ethan
Yes.
Cole.
So
This
again,
yeah.
here we have the big hook of being deserted on an island infested with dinosaurs.
Right.
But the heart of it is about a family.
Yep. Well, yeah, maybe.
Well,
It's
yeah.
more about like this.
It's about a coming of age.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a coming of age with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a comic that's got dinosaurs on it. Who does not want to read a comic about like a man living on an island with dinosaurs?
about a teenage boy.
I mean, I do.
dinosaurs.
I'm even reading Devil Dinosaur and
Alright,
Moon
here's-
Girl. You
here's
give me
a question.
dinosaurs and I'll read it.
Right?
Here's a question I'd ask all
There's
you
only one
guys in
dinosaur in
the
that
chat.
one.
If you guys in the chat were on an island and you had the ability to like ride dinosaurs and like have a dinosaur as a pet, would that be amazing?
I think it's more like.
Yeah.
We're going down, little buddy.
I think it's more like if you were 15 years old and you were trying to sleep, but every time you closed your eyes, you were worried a raptor was going to eat your ass.
If
Like,
you could have a pet Tyrannosaurus Rex, would you want one?
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Wait, how big
Exactly.
is it?
It's the
It's a
size
baby
of a
one, right?
Tyrannosaurus.
Oh, real big? No, that's
no,
too big.
no.
Like I wouldn't want one that's as big as the one
So,
that Arc
I don't want to
dinosaur.
clean up after that.
If I,
Ah.
you don't, you have a Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah.
Who's going to complain?
You got a pet T-Rex.
Yeah.
Like somebody's breaking into my house, T-Rex. Will you go eat them?
Yeah, right?
Sure.
Hey Rob, clean up my T-Rex poop, or it's gonna eat you.
Yeah.
I'm not cleaning up your T-Rex poop.
Oh.
But what I am going to do is I'm going to go to the Valiant store and I'm going to find a Bloodshot mug and I'm going to buy it.
Oh, dude, you know what
That
would
was
be
a good
great?
one.
While you're there, you could also get a Ninjak mug.
That's a great idea.
And we could easily talk about how Ninjak and Bloodshot have worked together.
Yes.
Or even
What about
discuss
Shadow Man?
Shadow Man, who's currently, for
Yeah.
those wondering, well, he's not back officially. They did finally explain where he's at in the latest Ninjak storylines.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's true. Or if you really want to be daring, you can go ahead and buy mugs for all the characters of Harbinger
That's right.
and have the full set. And you can say you have the Harbinger mug set.
Do they have those?
Nice.
I have no idea.
All right, now we're making a product.
Not a thing.
Guess what?
You could also get a full Faith cosplay at the Valiant store.
You can't get an X-Men War suit.
Can you really?
It's over there.
So
I think they only
Savage-
made one.
It's coming out November. Dinosaurs, 15-year-old boy.
It's crazy. It's going to be crazy.
It is gonna be crazy. It's
It
gonna
sounds
be,
like it's
and
gonna
it's
be
gonna.
fun.
There's gonna have more to it than just that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that definitely has me peaked. Just seeing how a 15-year, how a teenage boy is going to relate with
Yeah.
dinosaurs.
Do you remember the hatchet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hatchet?
Oh, yeah. Well, the pilot has a heart attack and the kid
Yeah.
lands. Dude, that was
And
such
then he,
a great
he
book.
takes care of like a wolf, and they become close.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
that's such
That's
a
it.
great book.
Right?
He has to learn to survive.
I don't
Also,
think it's
the
what
art
this is
is-
necessarily, but that kid was there for like a year or so.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Now
yeah.
imagine there for
15.
Yeah.
They were
And,
raised
and instead of
by-
a hatchet, you have 2 daggers with raptor claws.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
also,
I don't wanna move on.
The art is phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the next one then. Divinity 3. I saw a few people going 3.
2 isn't even over.
Yeah, 2's not even over yet. We're gonna go right into 3. But the way they pitch this though is without spoiling the end of 2, which is cool. 3 is best way to say it is what was it?
Stalinverse.
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 Everyone in the Valiant universe is now going to be working for Stalin, and it's the Soviet Union trying to take over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's their version of Red Sun, and people are comparing it
Yeah.
to that, and that's what it is. But it sounds a lot better than just being a one-off story about one superhero.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's,
Well,
and in that one, in Red Sun, it didn't actually happen.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's an Elseworld story.
Yeah.
In this, it did happen, and people will retain their memories
Yeah.
of
Yes.
it occurring.
And
So you're
because
gonna
basically the
see-
concept behind Divinity is this is an all-powerful being that can do whatever he wants by altering reality. As a matter of fact, in Divinity 2, issue that comes up tomorrow, I'm not going to spoil it, but there is a simple comment where they're like, no reality-changing events in your fight, and the response was, how would you know if I did it?
Fair enough. But you're going
right.
to see like Red Sun-ified versions of all your favorite characters. So
Yeah.
you will see a Soviet Bloodshot. You will also see a Soviet Exo-Man War. You're going to see
Yes.
Soviet... You're going to see
I
more
like
than
Miles Uncharted. Enough. Stalinverse now.
Yeah, exactly. And wait until December to get it.
That's basically like what would happen if the entire Valiant universe were composed of characters who were working for the Russian government.
Yep.
That
But like a
sounds
defunct
awesome.
Russian
Yeah,
government,
a
like
defunct
the
Russian
Soviet
government,
Union. It's a really cool...
I gotta tell you-
Russian government.
And Matt Kint, you
I'm
can
gonna go
tell,
find it,
is
Yeah.
freaking out about
Matt
this
So
book.
you guys
He
talk about
is
the books.
so
I'm gonna go
psyched.
start rounding up some
Yeah,
guys.
get some
Get their
fun, yeah.
opinions, their
Yeah.
favorite books.
Yeah,
to
To wrap
and
it
I
up.
gotta
Yeah.
tell you, I think it's brilliant too that it's coming out in December.
Yeah.
Like, because I personally associate Russia with cold
red.
winters.
It's cold and it's red. And
You know what I think? You know what else I think is brilliant?
Oh, what's
Is
that?
the fact you can go to the Valiant store and you
Yeah.
can find multiple items, including Bloodshot mugs. You can find pillows and posters and so on, and for whatever price they're selling them on the store.
That's
I don't know
right.
what
That's
price they're selling
right.
them
It's
for,
pretty
but you
sweet.
can buy them for that price. You know.
Yeah, and
Of course you
then you
can.
have them.
Then you have them.
Just
Yeah,
look
and
down
then they're in
the
your
mustache
house.
says, Exo Comrador.
Exo-Comrador. I like that.
man.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so
you
this
like
is the
that.
suite of Valiant books that are coming out from July on to December.
Yep.
2016 is, for them,
Yeah,
it's one of the
all-
most exciting years
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Valiant has been out. I gotta tell you, like, I'm
It's the
pretty
future of
jazzed.
Valiant.
Yeah, and I can't wait to look forward. I'm looking forward to checking out most of
That's
these
what I'm
books.
excited about too, is because since 2012, for the last 4 years when they've been launching Valiant, it's been kind of just like a progressive rollout of
Yeah.
characters. But now it looks as though they basically have a solid foundation with which, like, this is Valiant.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
of course, as time progresses, more characters will come out by Valiant. They'll create more content. But at the moment, this is really less about, building new characters. So much it is as about taking characters that exist
Yeah.
and enhancing them even
Exactly,
more.
they're playing in their universe. They've
Exactly.
they've spent so many years building it up. Now it's time to play in the sandbox.
Exactly, and that's one of the great things, because even though it is only 7 different characters that are going to be in this, the great thing about this is that it's manageable.
Yes.
So for
Yeah.
those of you guys that like crossovers, and are daunted by the idea of what you see in the big two in Marvel and DC, well, I want to read this story, but there's like 100 and something issues, and there's just like there's 50.
You need to
teams that
subscribe
cross
to at
over.
least 3 different comic book
Yeah.
YouTube channels to manage them all.
You got to go through all these different things to understand it. Valiant is not that way.
No.
Valiant is very straightforward, and
Yeah.
if there's a crossover in a comic you want to read, like at most, you might only have to pick up one other issue in order to fully understand what's going
Yeah.
on.
I gotta-
And that's.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I have. Well,
I was
continue.
gonna ask the chat while we're. Oh no! Here we go.
I gotta say, by the way, Simon Gould from Twitter also says, watching the show tonight, and for some reason I have this urge to visit the Valiant store every few minutes.
You should. You should visit the Valiant store.
Yeah. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, guys.
Welcome to the poll. If you'll,
Bye, Rob.
Yeah, I'm going to step out for a second.
Okay.
all right. Well, feel free to introduce yourselves to the weekly poll audience, and we'll talk about what you do and where what you're here to talk about.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Tom Brennan, editor here at Valiant Entertainment. Hi, Internet.
I'm Joshua Johns. I'm our Associate Director of Digital Media and Development
Yep.
here at Valiant, and it's nice of you guys to be here. We're happy you guys could come to the Valiant office.
Right.
We always
Appreciate you
enjoy
inviting
that.
us
Thank you
here.
for having us.
Hold on.
Yes.
You guys got bumped for 5 minutes. Harris has no time, so we're gonna bring in Harris to talk about it. You can join. We'll just bring it in.
Hey, come on in, man.
And special guest appearance by Eris from Variant. Thank you for being here.
I'm here, guys.
An actual
joining us.
celebrity.
And you know what? And for the record, Eris buys all of his mugs at the ValiantEntertainment.com store, in which you can purchase Ninjak, Bloodshot, Shadow Man, that mug, those pillows.
This isn't mine, but I'm gonna hold it up anyway, even though it's not mine.
Nice.
I believe it is ValiantStore.com.
Yeah. Oh, is it ValiantStore.com?
No, it's
We just linked it into the Valiant Entertainment website. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
It works.
So since you're the shortest time period, we can all have a discussion about it. It's fine. But what are you most excited about with the Valiant universe? Because you've been diving in more recently,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, for the one of the, so if we're talking about like the newest announcements,
Yeah.
or just-
Yeah, the newest announcement. Somebody just came out
Savage
with.
for sure. Savage.
Right on, man.
That's like
That's
right up my alley.
right.
Where it's like Lost World meets like Tarzan, and you have like he's a kid. It's like the first kid
Yeah.
in like the Valiant universe. So I'm really excited for it. The fact he's got like raptor claws.
Yeah.
Right?
Is
Thank
really
you.
cool. And then he's got like
Weaponized raptor
the
claws.
T-Rex teeth
Yeah.
on
Yep.
his,
You're
as a necklace.
This kid has seen some stuff.
So really cool. But
I love that. That's awesome.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see how, because apparently the big thing is to see like the gap. Like he's like 15. Like
Yeah.
we see like that his parents, stuff to crashing on this island, and then she has the mom has a kid, and then we like flash forward to where he's 15.
Yep.
We've got to figure out how do we get there?
Yeah.
How do we get there? Let's figure it out. Let's figure this
exactly.
story
Let's
out.
go on this journey together.
Right? And like we were saying before, like it has heart to it too. Like it's all right. It's gonna be dinosaurs and it's gonna be awesome.
Right.
But there's also this other aspect to it, and that's what I think is so awesome about all the Valiant books. Is there's always like this big hook, and then there's also like, but you're gonna watch this character go on a
emotional
journey,
core.
and you're gonna learn all about them, and you're gonna learn a little bit about yourself, maybe. Like who knows? Like
And B. Clay Moore, making his Valiant debut for us.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's something about bringing in a new writer like B. Clay Moore, but putting with talent that have been part of Valiant since the get-go, Clayton Henry, Luis LaRosa. Like, this is an idea that we've been working on a very long time, and we're as excited as you are to go on this journey.
It's very cool because right now it's currently, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a limited series, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So we want to, like, I haven't even read it yet, but I'm assuming if it's as good as like the plot is, let's make this an ongoing like Faith became. That'd be great.
Yep.
So I want to ask a question, and you guys can say you can't disclose this at all, and that's perfectly fine. But being the age and the nature of the kid in Savage, is there any chance he's gonna like meet up with the current Geomancer for the Earth and that all kind of thing?
Well, you'll have to read Savage to find
This November.
I think you know the thing we do in Valiant, you know, much as we plan these books out deliberately, I think narratively the stories themselves move deliberately as well. Like, I don't think you're definitely going to know from page one that this book, in addition to being this human story, is set in the Valiant universe.
Gotcha.
At the same time, I might be a while before, it's not going to be midway through issue 2 where Time Walker pops and it's like, don't worry, you're out of here. Probably.
That would be the greatest
great
this isn't working. Come with me.
I think that's, we'll see as we build this character along the important place he's going to have in the universe.
Nice.
It was good. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Go me.
That's great.
What else we got? Throw some more at me.
Yeah. Were there any other standout titles?
Well, all the new stuff, but so another brand new character because obviously we got like Bloodshot USA and stuff, which I'm excited for as well. But Britannia is another
We
one.
were talking
Dude.
crazy up that one.
Because the world's first detective. Just that
I
right
know.
there is like the world's first
Right?
detective. How did that happen?
Yeah.
And we're gonna find out.
Yeah, and I love the pitch of being like Game of Thrones meets American Horror Story meets 300. I was like, I like all of those things.
Yeah, right. Let's make a baby
Yeah,
out of it.
okay, yeah.
baby.
Oh, it's adorable. I want it.
Well, it's interesting because we're all big fans of superheroes like that. We kind of taken for granted that like detectives is such a normal thing, but the concept that like that wasn't always a thing. Like people didn't use like analytical thinking to solve problems.
Yeah.
People didn't use psychology and clues and like linking things like that to solve problems. So like there was a first person who was the first detective, the first person who did this professionally.
Yeah.
And to the world that he was in, he might as well have been a superhero.
Right.
How did he figure that out?
And they're
By
also
thinking, what?
and they're linking in his faith and his beliefs and his whole like society into his approach. So you got a person who literally believes that if you touch a dead body, you will be infected by it, and so has to deal with detection and figuring out like solving murder and also being like hindered by his own belief system.
Right.
And you as a reader knowing, it's not going to happen. Like we have a whole system in place now, and watching that proto system kind of develop.
And that's one thing we really enjoy doing with these kind of books is like this is very much in the Valiant universe.
Yeah.
Like this is ancient Rome and this is a gritty take on ancient Rome and a detective story, but it's every bit inside the Valiant universe as the rest of our titles. So we love exploring these nooks and crannies of our universe and not just leaving like, this is New York City where everyone is, but like really just deep diving into that this is a universe that has a long history that stretches from 6,000 years before man to 4001, which is our event right now. So we enjoy that.
I think it's the perfect spot for Peter Milligan too. He's the kind of writer who knows how to make the most of those weird little spots and make them matter and make a story that matters. Jose Rip is a artist who's been working with us for a little over a year now, and each book that he does, he goes more and more from just sort of like one of our go-to guys to a superstar. And the work he's doing here, it's something.
That's awesome.
I know we have limited time with Eris, so I want to read a...
Sorry.
No. It's a significant comment here. No, don't be. It's kind of for everybody here. By Omega Man 52, who says, I never knew of Valiant until Variant Comics and Comic Pop on YouTube. Since then, I've probably collected 30-some trades of Valiant since then.
Nice.
Valiant has made me a lifetime fan. I love the characters, the story, and the great feel of country, history. Their universe feels, even though they are way younger than DC and Marvel. One more thing. They feel more deep and have a bigger history than the big two. And I thought that was really cool. First of all, that we got two people sitting at the table who helped this person find Valiant, and then just what a praise! What an incredible praise! I mean, the fact that Valiant's been around for longer than I think people know, but new Valiant is. It's new. It's brand new, and while you are certainly using your legacy characters, like it's completely different than what people remember. And to bring comic book fans to that, who are used to the big two, and I don't want to put Valiant in that indie box. You know what I mean? And people who read a lot of big two don't always want to go into that box anyway. So I think it's awesome when people find you guys because they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, wait, what?"
Well, it's crazy to think too, because I don't think a lot of people know. I know Valiant says it all the time, but they have the third largest superhero universe.
Yeah.
So it's like they're not new to this. That's
no,
what I mean.
exactly.
It's literally top 3.
Right. But people sit there and they're like, "Wait, what? What?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially people just coming into this for the first time.
I love going over to more about the conventions and we go hang out at the Valiant booth. Because it's normally a nice safe hub for us all to go hang out at. Because they're they're right in the middle and everyone can see the giant banners.
Yeah.
But I love it when fans come up and they'll be like, "Oh, you're here and I came to Valiant not for you, but because you got me into Valiant." Yeah. And then they're buying Valiant and they just happen to see me there too.
Yeah. No, but just to touch on that, we're always looking for new avenues for people to get introduced to our books. It's always going to be about storytelling first, content first, quality first. But we are hugely indebted to Comicstorian, Variant Comics, Comics Pop, Comics Sync, Comics Drake, Comics Explained. It's super effective with Fouls. We're hugely indebted to you guys for opening up avenues where new people can find these stories. And it all goes back to the editorial. It all goes back to the writers and the artists. Because frankly, if the comics were not good, if you guys didn't believe in them, there's no amount of money we could pay you guys in the world to cover them. And we don't pay you guys anything.
Yeah. It was like when you initially called me, the very first thing when they first called me, and I don't know if this is true, but I think I was the first of the channels to cover Valiant. But it may not be true. I don't know because Eric's been around forever and I haven't seen all of his stuff. But when he first called and I answered the phone we'll cover the books. But my one rule is I don't take money to do anything. It's entirely based upon if I enjoy the books. Yeah. So if I don't enjoy the books, then I'm just not going to do them. And you said he went back into the CEO's office and you were like, "That's his one rule: score."
No, it's important to us, and we're hugely indebted to you guys for opening up these avenues, and we hope that more and more of your audience will find Valiant and see that we're making what we think are some of the best comics being made right now.
Yeah, and I think comic properties, they might be bigger than ever, but the actual books, it's all on fans at any level, be they the fan of the store, or fans who have an outreach and have a following. Absolutely. Just say this is good, check it out. And I think we rely on that. We see the concrete proof every day of the advantage that has.
Right.
If you want more Valiant, all those channels I just named, Comicstorian, Comics Pop, Variant, all down the line. We have a lot of Valiant coming up on all those channels this year. So please
stay tuned.
Yeah.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
And don't forget to what Eris was mentioning earlier about if you are interested in any of the limited run series, pick them up because that's the only way they're going to keep going is for them to see the numbers.
Well, that's exactly what happened with Faith. Faith was only a 4-issue run, and as much as people to hate on it, the thing sold. It was 7th print, 8th print, or how far did it go?
6th printing.
I think
6th printing.
5th or 6th. Yeah.
6th printing. I think.
Okay,
That's
insane. That right there says it's sold. Regardless of the vocal minority, that thing is popular. So
clearly.
So support the books. If you like them, go out and get them.
Yep.
And just a quick plug on that, whether or not you're at your local comic book store or at the convention, all of our #1 trades, regardless of creative team, regardless of it's a prestige format, regardless of length, are $9.99. So we want new readers, we want people to be checking out the title. So if you see a Valiant #1 trade, that is $10, and you can go home and get 4 to 5 exceptional comics, and we will always maintain that rule.
Right. But we'll also, because obviously I'm at your booth a lot of Comic Cons and stuff. I know you guys have a great deal. Because I remember I was there for Seattle. Yeah, it was 3 or 4 trades for 20 or something ridiculous. So I'm like, that's 5 trades worth, and you know what I mean? It's just super cheap. So I'm because I was shocked. I didn't know. I went to Josh. I'm like, really? You're giving that many away for that price?
You're like, dude, you put the wrong sticker on this.
Josh is like, they're not actually on paper.
Having now been to a couple of comic book rodeos with Valiant and seeing the transactions through these booths, I never see anybody leave a Valiant booth with 1 trade.
Yeah.
I always see them leave leave with at least 4. So it's and that's not because it's the deal, sure, but it's also just because of the interest, and it's because of the quality.
It's good writing, good
Just a
good
solid
characters.
book.
Yep.
They just like the pitch, or they like the story, or they like the idea.
Yep.
Boom, they're in.
And that's listen, it's not by mistake. We're a smart company. We're a company that looks at analytics. We look at sales. We look at how people are buying, and we know that if someone gets a Valiant #1 in their hands, there's very little chance they do not buy that second issue, second trade. We have done all the studying that we can that we know that's exactly how people react, and that's about our belief in the content, our belief in our creators, our belief in our editors. So when your content is good, when you have stories you believe in, it's not hard to sell them.
Plus, we have a passion to not carry as many books back home. That's a lot to carry.
I want to share a comment that was posted by Aaron Bess. It's about Faith. Faith has really helped my daughter start to rise from her depression that was brought on by being body shamed by kids in her school. I first learned of Faith from a vid by Benny. I got her a copy of it. She now faces her day with more of a smile. Thank you, Valiant.
It's awesome.
Tom's the editor of that book.
yeah,
You should talk to that.
I mean, that's great to hear. And, we've been hearing a lot of stories like that since Faith started, and every time I hear it, it's great. You know, not much more to say beyond that. I think something
It'll make you
people
feel good, right?
It does. It's interesting. A lot of people have come and said like, "Oh, I really relate to this character. What I love about this character, I kind of relate to her too." You know, I can't necessarily share any of the stories that we're hearing, but I can certainly relate to that notion. It's a hard world out there. It's a hard enough world out there. You might as well be positive in front of it. And I'm glad to hear every time.
And
it's that, and more to come. So I hope she continues to enjoy
and
it.
it's all on not only in the original Valiant with Harbinger with Bob Lane, but and Jim Shooter, but also Joshua Dysart's running a Harbinger that established so much of who Faith is, so much of her positivity and what people love about her. And then it's about Jodie Hauser, who that miniseries is exceptionally popular, and we're going into a strong ongoing series, and we're extremely proud of that. And frankly, we feel like we have a responsibility now because people care about this comic, they care about this character. It is brightening and helping people's lives, and for that reason, we take it very seriously, taking care of and curing that character. I know that Jodie does as well. She's doing an exceptional job.
Wow. My big butt all over the way.
This weekend, have you don't worry.
If I could chime in for a second, on that whole concept of, Faith being identifiable. I think that when you look at like the success of any comic book character, like it doesn't matter who they are, any comic book character from anywhere, the most popular ones are the ones that people can relate with. Even if it's simply like this is just a guy that does stuff or a woman that does stuff. But I think the great thing about Valiant's comics, about the comics that you guys make, is the whole idea of the world outside your window. Like it really is just that. Harbinger is a perfect example. What would you do if one day you woke up and suddenly you could read minds or you could lift stuff? Or you could do all kinds of crazy things, and how do people react to that?
Yeah.
And Faith is a really good example of that, because literally she didn't know what she was capable of until Peter met her at a cafeteria, wherever it was that she was at, and was like, you can do stuff, and woke those powers up. And that was it. And then, suddenly she just kind of took off from there. And I think that's what makes characters like her so relatable, is she is a reflection of anybody you could see anywhere.
Yeah.
She's a reflection of a cashier. She's a girl walking to a bus stop. She's a teacher. She's a student. She's anybody out there in the world. And I think that's why people really like her so much.
Yeah, I think I say often, and people kind of seem surprised at first. Before I worked at Valiant, I worked for Marvel. I edited books over there. I worked on the Spider-Man books. And Faith reminds me, I think, more of Spider-Man than any other character that I've worked on with it, in that what makes this character special isn't the powers, it's that they have a guiding moral principle to help other people and live in a real world. And it's one of the most fun books I've ever worked on.
That's actually a really good comparison. I didn't think of that till just right now. That is like solid, like right on it.
I gotta tell you, I wish
Make the
we
sales
had this
identity.
comic when I was like
going
becoming a teenager, because I gotta tell you, as a girl, as we all know based on what we've seen on TV, and we've all been to the classes, it's rough. You know what I mean? Like immediately there's like a switch that happens. We're all just like. We're gonna wear that shirt, okay? You know what I mean? But like,
yes, I am. Jeez, Tiffany.
Yeah, exactly.
I felt terrible about wearing this shirt.
Don't worry, I just took it to another level. I'm gonna go whisper about you over there.
My Archer and Armstrong shirt.
But Faith puts it out there where it's just like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I am who I am, and like girls need to hear that, regardless of what side of the like, if you're being made fun of or you're making fun of someone, you need to hear that because you need to understand like you know what I mean, like what it is that you're doing, where you are, and just to be happy with who you are. So like it's awesome that you're putting out like a role model like this in a comic book form. You know what I mean? You can hand this to anybody. Like they can have it right there. They can at any point in time. You know.
I think
Awesome.
the thing about the process of making the book that we've enjoyed most of all has been that, certainly we've heard these stories about, people relating on issues of body, on issues of gender, and certainly we're not ignorant, putting a book out that it would be received that way, but at the same time, I think we approached it the way we approach almost any book. Like, this should be a good adventure story, that happens to star, a woman who happens to be plus size. That was the driving principle. That's certainly how Jodie writes her. That's certainly how Francis Portela in The Limited and Perry in the new series draws her. Neither ignorant of the reality of her, but also that's not the only that's not the only story to tell with a character who's plus size is what struggles they might have personally. There's tons of other stories. And diving into that has been, and that's what I've loved about the response. People are like, "Wow, this is also just a really good superhero comic."
One of the things I really loved about Faith Overall was like her biggest struggle was making her job work. Like, that was the struggle. Her and then debating, is she dating Archer or not? Like normal struggles, not. Well, am I dating Archer or not? Because I'm fat,
I think it was in issue 3. I love that Jodie just out and out was like, there's literally no way you could keep this facade up if you were a journalist and you were Superman.
It's like, this doesn't work.
I remember we sat down, I was like, well, how are we going to get past this? And Jodie was just like, I mean, I don't think she tries. I think she's like, look, I'm the superhero. The moment has called for it. Sorry. Maybe if I had a writer, I could figure out a way out of this, but this is this and this. And I was like, that was kind of brilliant.
That was hilarious.
Sort of awesome.
Like, she walked into one room, they're like, such and such walked in here and you came out. We're not dumb.
Just to return to kind of what you were saying, it's I know it's hard to believe on the outside sometimes, but there's only one company mandate at Valiant, and that's story first. So we chose to do Faith the miniseries because we had a great story that we could not afford not to tell. And now we're doing the ongoing because we have a great ongoing story we could not afford to tell. We'll never publish anything because we feel like there's a message there that can just simply plug into a beat, or we need something on a publishing line. It's story first or broke here.
It's like we said earlier. You guys limit, like, a lot of your runs are limited runs because you have a story. You don't want to. You don't want to tell the Ivar story for 25 issues and then it just, well, what's going on? He's going to go through time again. You know.
I mean, we certainly walked away from the Faith miniseries, hoping that we had, seeing the response and saying, like, man, I hope we have that. Unfortunately, Jodie's response was she has thousands of stories to tell. So
that's awesome.
That's great.
Best yet to come.
I mean,
awesome.
it's so you heard it here first. Faith's going to issue 1,000.
It's
I'm curious.
1,000 issues. Well, the funny thing was when I talked to Jodie, I had asked her. I was like, when the Faith miniseries was announced. And people were like, a plus-size character is getting her own comic book.
Hey guys, real quick, Eris does have to step out. He's prepping up the video for you guys.
Yes.
But don't forget to go check him out if for whatever reason you don't know who he is at this point. At Variant Comics, and he's also on Twitter at Variant Comics and Eris.
I don't know if you guys have covered this, but congratulations for crossing 1 million.
Congratulations. On the podcast, you're getting the applause.
Thanks, guys.
I'm pretty sure everyone knows who you are, but just in case.
Just on the off chance you're living on a rock.
But
thank you for joining us.
To the VIP area with you.
He has his own office. We're all crammed in here, and he gets his
own. They have
own.
their own office, man. They've got like velvet, sheets. And,
He's got velvet sheets, and he's got a glass window, and they ordered pizza just for them.
Sheets.
I always wondered why we had velvet sheets.
But so when I was talking to Jodie, I asked her, I was like, so when it was announced that Faith was getting her own miniseries, like, it hit the presses. Like, major news outlets covering huge, huge events are like, this character Faith is getting her own miniseries. I was like, how did that make you feel to see something like that in the New York Times?
I got huge props to, first of all, Hunter Goranson, our marketing director, and Andrew Steinbrezer, who also works on our marketing team as a manager. Make no mistake, people that do not cover comics cover this comic. 17 Magazine, Cosmopolitan,
The
Washington Post, The Today Show, New York Post,
People,
USA Today. Like, it goes on and on because people think, and correctly so, that we are curating something very special with this comic, and it's all the credit to Jodie for building this character and doing such a great job with the mini.
Yeah.
Talk about like a gateway comic.
I mean, for the record, if you guys haven't caught on yet, Faith is not just it's a plus size superhero. It's a great comic.
That's
what it boils down
story.
to.
The story is fantastic.
There was a question that came up. I guess I don't even know if you guys did these, but you guys did audio dramas,
Yes.
and they want to know when there's going to be more.
A&A got an audio drama.
Nice.
It was exceptional. Pen and Audio put that on. There will be more. I can't talk too much about it, but I'm glad that everyone enjoyed it and they did an exceptional job.
Just let us know behind the scenes. Like, no one will have to hear it.
Can we mute the microphone?
We love just like having stuff on y'all's pages. We
Yeah.
love exploring different avenues to find Valiant fans because people who love great storytelling are everywhere, and audio drama is one of the ways of doing it, and there will be more.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Some people are also asking about action figures.
Stay tuned. Cannot even talk about that. Stay tuned.
Ooh.
Stay tuned.
All right.
We're gonna make sure Valiant fans are very happy in the next few years.
That's
Stay
okay.
tuned.
And
Well,
if they're looking for them, where can they go?
Oh, they can always go to ValiantStore.com, where you can find lovely things such as these mugs and these pillows. And Rob's for sale on there. He's only $10.
What?
And these sweet plushies.
And these sweet plushies, where you can pet your own bloodshot. I think that should bring us to the close of the main show. And then we can start doing the giveaway. Sure. If you are in the chat right now, they're going to let us handpick the books for each one of these prize packages. But we are going to put Josh in the spot right now. How many books is in each prize package? Is it like 2, 3, 100? How many books are we allowed to put in each one?
Don't say 100.
Don't say 100.
I will say I will give you a large box and as many can fit.
Okay,
Wow.
you're gonna. Okay, so
You
we're
guys heard it, man.
So we're gonna give away 2 boxes, large boxes with as many books as we can fit to 2 people who are just followers, and then we're gonna give away 1 to subscribers only. So this is your chance to subscribe if need be. But we are gonna do the closeout on the main show, and then we're just gonna BS and chat with these 2 gentlemen while we give away the prizes.
That's right.
So if you are here for the post show on any one of the channels that it's uploaded on, or you're listening to us on iTunes, don't forget. The hosts are myself, Comicstorian. You can find me on Twitter at Comicstorian. Today was Tiffany from Comic Pop.
Hi.
She's at the Real Zoobs. The Real Zoobs.
The Real Zoobs.
We got Rob from Comics Explained. He's over at Comics Explained. Sal's hiding off camera right now. Sal says what? And we are your usual hosts, and we will see you guys next week where we talk about, I don't know, something. We do that.
something about something where things get talked about.
Exactly.
Stuff.
Sal, if you could end the local recording for me. So goodbye to everyone who's watching this post. Don't forget we do this on Twitch every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And if you do enjoy Twitch, you can always join us every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Podcasting for comic books every Tuesday and Thursday. Video games every other day of the week. And starting next week or this week, Dungeons and Dragons on Fridays because we don't like having free time.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
You got to end the local recording quick?
We're doing it now.
Okay, awesome.
Go to broadcast.
I don't know if they talked about it after you guys were here. But
Yeah,
like,
don't
one
end
of
the
cool things
broadcast
we
and then
talked
just
about
click the one that says local.
Later, one of the cool things we
Just
talked about
local.
later on,
Just
like
local.
towards the
That
end
one, yeah.
when I was heading out anyway.